take a look, walk around. Every color, lines, languages of all sorts. But art is a language that we all speak, and we speak it fluently, certainly here in South Florida. Hey everyone, I'm Roxanne Vargas, and welcome to the special edition of Six in the Mix, where we will take you into the galleries, into the studios, into the art fairs, and more importantly, into the neighborhoods where art is thriving. Art has been thriving here in South Florida for years, but there certainly is this little known art fair called Art Basel that has helped shine the light on South Florida.
It's a behemoth of an art fair. It's the largest one on the planet.
We have a really nice situation here in Miami. I mean, even like the capital of the world, New York City, isn't as cool with like just painting walls.
They have, conventions all around the nation, so, from LA to New York, but nothing like this.
I think it's like you said, like the Olympics. Like this is when you really gotta shine and be out there.
Let's start thinking about how we can make this something that's not just gonna be, around for a couple more years and turn into something else, but something that has like deep roots and will last.
It just brings out the best of the best, I think, in terms of artists, galleries, collectors.
We're out here for Art Basel 2016. We drove here 30 hours from Montreal with our crew and our gear.
It's no longer just Basel, It's no longer just the satellite fairs. Now it's in all the communities.
Bringing all that energy into one place, you're bringing beauty.
Our first featured artist was born and reared right here on the streets of South Florida, and his work is all over town, including right here on the walls of the Wynwood Brewing Company. It says right there, Phyla, Daniel Phyla, but the art world knows him as Crave. And Crave is making himself at home in a new spot.
Just fresh stuff, fresh characters, fresh colors. What does it take to get a wall in Wynwood? I was born in Miami, and my dad was an artist, and I was very early on pushed into, being an artist. When my dad saw my interest, he was like, yeah, do that, go for that. But what drove me the most was my passion for the more illicit art activity, like street art. Going out there, I really felt like I found myself on the street, going out and experimenting, trying new things. On the street, you're just trying to find your independence and make your own voice. Art was primarily like my focus from very early on. Unlike a lot of people, I always knew, so in that way I was fortunate. And also because in Miami, I had Wynwood and all of these things happen right when I started my career. It was kind of like dry wood and fire. My artistic approach is very unique in that I don't have a formula whatsoever. I mean, I really have a lot of, background experience and training as an artist. So, I can fall into a different area and really catch on quickly. I don't sketch a lot of times before I do a wall, because ideas come to me while I'm going, and there's a lot that needs to be fluid about artwork, I feel. Because unless you're good and established and you have a style, you're not going to get a free wall. The fact that I get to come up here and just kind of like, I don't know, I'm going to just do me, that's amazing. But that took forever. Graffiti is a totally different thing. The definition of it right now is completely different than it was in the 90s. The stigmas that it carried back in the 90s, when I started, not everybody had internet yet. So if you saw artwork or graffiti, it was either by picture in a magazine or if a train came down. To get really influenced, we'd have maybe like a New Yorker come down and they'd paint something and we'd be like, what's this style? But everything else was just from Miami. And we had a very authentic movement going on before it was, inundated with all these different styles from everywhere on the globe. It was really just us, and that's what I came up in. Aaron is still probably one of the most, I guess, known pieces of mine, and it really led to like the whole Sunbather series, which became definitely my most popular piece. The principle that I hold on to is that I can't care too much about what people think about my work. I go up there, I want to be the weirdest thing on this wall. Is it going to be liked by everybody? I don't know, but it's going to stand out. So who cares if it's pretty and good? I mean, you can't do decoration. You know, in the graffiti world, you're going to get toyed if you don't have original style. Basel means a lot of things to a lot of people down here, and aside from the convention center show, I know a lot of local, graffiti artists are like, they really have this animosity towards the out-of-towners that come and paint our walls, but I don't think they realize how important those other out-of-towners coming in here is to the success of this area. That's the whole reason people are flying in here, and it's become so attractive, and Miami is what it is because we're this international place. We're a platform for our European artists to come, and for the out-of-towners, they love Miami because it's like this really cool city where all this is happening, and I want it to continue being that way. But at the same time, we do have to do our own thing and have our own style, our own voice. Wynwood Walls, for instance, there's only one, as of right now, there's only one local artist in Wynwood Walls, which bless Wynwood Walls for all they've done, but at the same time, I'm calling them out on that. That's not cool, Show some more love. It doesn't have to be me, and it probably won't be now that I'm calling them out. But, that needs to be known. We need to holler at that, like, come on, what's up? But until then, yeah, we're doing our thing outside of it. And Little Havana is for sure a very indigenous, like, kind of artist place. We're all there 24/7. We live there. Our roots are there. So if people come from out of town that are more interested in seeing what's actually happening, they have to, get out of the more popular areas. And Little Havana is a great alternate route because you got a rich Cuban community, a rich Latin community all together, but then you have people like me, I'm just a white boy from Cutler Ridge, just, doing my art thing there, and I feel like it's home. I think the crowd that comes here, they're very like ahead of the curve. They realize that this is the next place. This is the newest movement that's happening, that's bustling, that's not so far acknowledged by everyone else. So they feel it as theirs. We're like an old culture meets the new thriving young culture. A lot of the artists that were from Wynwood either moved to Little Haiti or Little Havana. A lot of the businesses here are mom and pop. It's a community, a rich community, and we're all like, it's like a brotherhood of man, more than it is in other neighborhoods where you feel a little bit more like separated. Little Havana is special.
Coming up, we're going to leave the comfy confines of Wynwood and take you to Washington, D.C. for an exclusive interview with one nationally renowned artist with one piece that's starting a positive conversation. East Coast truly meets West Coast on this wall behind me, one of the most talked about walls from Art Basel 2016, created with so much heart, so much soul by Miami's own Trek 6 and California's own Chor Boogie. You can learn more about the creation and the story behind this amazing mural on the NBC6 News and Weather app under 6 in the Mix. And just like Chor Boogie, who's recognized for his art all over the world, Art Basel attracts artists from all over the world, all over the country. And that includes a nationally renowned portrait artist, Tim Okamura, who is no stranger to Art Basel. But this year, we went to him exclusively as he had an amazing opportunity to share a piece with the art community at one of the most renowned galleries in the world. His piece is now displayed at the Outwin exhibit at the Smithsonian National Portrait Gallery Museum in Washington, D.C. We take you there.
I think good portraiture can also serve as a metaphor for a greater experience. So this is my friend Yaga Ziameze. So it's certainly about celebrating her as an individual, but like I said, I think that she represents in this painting more than just her specific self. It's a museum that I've really loved coming to over the years. There's been a lot of inspiration that's come out of the visits And to actually be now featured in the museum, it's almost like a dream come true in a way. As a portrait painter, for sure, I think it's really kind of an ultimate sort of plateau that you can reach. I grew up in Canada. My father's of Japanese heritage, my mother English descent. I kind of have this sort of hybrid Canadian, half Japanese, New Yorker, Brooklynite sensibility. I think growing up there was a great experience. I mean, I ended up becoming friends with a lot of other kids that were sort of not quite fitting in, and I didn't quite fit in. And I think that really kind of fed into my sensibilities as a portrait painter. I Love Your Hair ended up resonating more than I anticipated. I would see so often people, I'd be walking with Yagaze down the street, and I would see people across the street like look, see her, beeline across the street and say, "Excuse me, I just want to tell you, I love your hair." And that just resonated. I was like, that's it right there. I mean, that's such a positive development, I think. And that's really a big part of what my work is about, is trying to focus on the positive. Another thing I didn't expect is when people, and hopefully I don't lose it right now, but when people come up to me, women specifically, women of color, that have come up and said, this is the first time that I've seen somebody painted that looks like me. It means a lot.
We invite a panel of jurors to work with me and our chief curator, Brandon Fortune, on the selection. And it was a rigorous jury process. We had 2,500 entries. We selected a group of semifinalists whose work was brought into Washington, and then the jury returned and looked at their work in a storage facility. Tim Okamura's work rose to the top immediately. We all agree that it should be included in this competition.
It wasn't just a technical exercise, there was an important message behind it, and I felt like that might resonate maybe. So happy that it did, and I think that this year's show actually reflects a little bit more of a socially conscious flavor than past editions, and that's something I'm very proud to be a part of as well.
We have the only complete set of presidential portraits outside of the White House. And I think some of our visitors are surprised to find contemporary art that is about some of the most topical issues. In this gallery, just steps away from the presidents, and that's what makes this exhibition so powerful.
The core of it is a search for truth and a search for beauty, and maybe truth in beauty or beauty in truth. I just happened to be searching down a particular road that I think hasn't been explored too much. You know, the feedback has been incredible. The response has been more than I ever could have imagined.
To place an image like this within a body of or collection of work where you don't see a lot of African American or women of color or people of color represented, it makes a bold statement. So it's a powerful work amongst other great works, but it has a language in the discourse of portraiture. I've seen this painting several times. I've seen it here 3 times, and I've seen it in Miami during Art Basel.
Art Basel in Miami is really sort of a crown jewel of, you know, the art fairs that are going on, you know, around the world. It just brings out the best of the best, I think, in terms of artists, galleries, collectors, you know, even just art aficionados that appreciate good work.
I think it's really important for children to be able to come in here and see people that look like them. I don't know whether you noticed when you walked into the National Portrait Gallery, you walked through a gallery of presidents, and it's just like a presence of white men in that space. And the energy in this gallery is a lot different, and it's a lot more inclusive. And that's a beautiful thing in this day and time.
It does feel like sort of another renaissance in a way, I think, culturally and in terms of consciousness. What's gratifying especially is feeling like I'm at least trying my best to be part of the solution.
Oscar nominee Will Smith was right here across the street, and he's a fan of that mural. Why? And the fierce female behind it coming up. Take a drive around Little Havana. Take a drive around Wynwood. I guarantee you're going to walk or drive by a piece painted by Dee Dee Rock. Her real name, though, Diana Contreras. She's a teacher that shares her passion of painting with her kids, but she will tell you that her best lesson in life is to follow your dreams and follow your passion.
I wanted to pursue art, fine arts. My parents, again, pushed me. They were scared, so they pushed me towards education. So I became an art teacher. I really wanted to be more than just like a pretty picture. I really wanted to have a meaning, like a maybe more like emotional meaning. Art was like a diary for me. It was like an outlet to express how I felt inside. I like to mix it up with as much things as I can. So I'll like spray it, make it drip. I love to use spray paints and even like paper. Like that piece has paper. So anything I can find that works, I use it. This one's Serena. That was the name of the mural. The more girls I make, like the harder it is to come up with names. I'm running out of names. I was born in Peru and I moved to Miami when I was 5. I grew up in Kendall and I always wanted to go to magnet school, but my parents wouldn't let me. My art teachers would enter me in art contests, and that's kind of how I figured out that I had something. This series is very different from my other work. I usually use a lot of colors, but I wanted to challenge myself and limit my color palette and just go more organic. So I used wood, wood stains. I never really thought why I just do females. I've always done it. But I think now that I'm having a baby boy, I think maybe things will change and I'll start including more boys in my artwork. I wish I could use spray paint right now, but I can't. Spray paint is also faster, really fast. The Goodwill is very special to me because it's one of the first mural projects I was allowed to be in, because no one knew who I was, and I didn't really know how to get walls, and I showed them my work. They loved it, and I was like, can I invite friends? They're like, yes. So then I invited a whole bunch of my friends to paint squares. What I love about the Goodwill is that it's more like a community project, and people that it could be their first time painting a mural, like me, or it's been like Blake Lerat, which is like a very famous French, street artist. So it has both, and all different styles, and I don't know of any other one in Miami that is such a collage of artists and different styles and ages all in one. So I think it's really unique that way. Oh my God, that day was like the best day of my career.
Dee Dee Rock, okay, the creators of this beautiful mural that we're about to see. How are you? How are you, Dee Dee? Absolute pleasure. Go crazy! Go crazy! Go crazy! Yeah!
I know that seeing your work of art on the side of giant walls in Wynwood and in the Leah Arts District, you know, whatever, just another day for you ladies, but to have Will Smith and Margot Robbie introduce it, how are you feeling right now?
Yeah, incredible. I'm on cloud 9, and I think you are too, right?
This feels very surreal. You know, I'm pregnant and I just couldn't pass this opportunity up. I just went out there, you know, with the baby kicking and did it.
We got to hang out with Will Smith and Margot Robbie and the cast, like behind the scenes in VIP. Like that wasn't even mentioned. It was so surreal.
You have like the official anthem for Miami. Now you're literally on the walls here.
On the walls. I love that. I love that. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and then the contrast is I go back to school and then like little kids are like throwing crayons. I love when like little girls like see me painting and they're like, wow, I want to do that too. You know, they didn't think that was possible. I never really saw women doing this either when I was, you know, a teenager. I never saw that. So I want to be that inspiration. Once I started to discover it and look for other women to do it, I just got more inspired and more empowered. And that's what I want to do for others. It's a dream to be doing what you love and be able to support yourself. And it doesn't feel like work. You know, you just love it. You know, you do it for free, but it's wonderful. It's the dream.
Art with a positive message. That's the hope that this female minority gallerist hopes that you get when you visit her gallery in Little Haiti. We'll take you there coming up. In our final story, meet a fierce female, not actually an artist, but rather a gallery owner. In fact, Carla Ferguson is one of the only female minority gallerists in Miami, and she's hoping that the art she hangs on her walls starts a candid conversation here in South Florida. We take you inside Yeelan Gallery in Little Haiti.
If I see a problem, I have to speak about it. I can't help myself. So it ends up in the curation. It ends up as a part of the theme that the gallery goes with. Typical immigrant story. Moved here from Jamaica when I was 7 years old. Started off in New York. Too cold, came to Miami. Decided I had to work hard to make something of myself. Ended up going to law school, and I was working with Innocence Project and starting to see a lot of, you know, the injustices we face here in this country, especially people of color. My grandfather was a photographer, my uncles were all painters, my father a musician, so it was kind of a natural thing to want to be creative and to contribute in that way. So I combined the two. I combined the law and I combined art, and the gallery was born. This year, I'm doing a show more on consciousness, and this entire exhibition behind me is based on being awake. You know, the idea to break your bonds of mental slavery and to really recognize the humanity of everyone and to fight. Here you have Myth America, and it's really, you know, the crisis that's happening today in our country, the divides that are created, the unrest that's going on, the racial injustice, the idea that big money is what controls our society and what, you know, gets the final say-so. And is it all worth it? And the attempt here is to kind of shake people and to say, hey, pay attention to what's going on. There's more to life than just money. And there's more to life than believing that one person is superior while the other has to be inferior. When I first came back to Miami after school, it was 2006. And I bought a space at the time in Wynwood. And Wynwood was very quiet, unassuming warehouse neighborhood. Nothing like the Wynwood we know today. And I opened the first gallery there. And it was a struggle. No one knew about the area, no one wanted to come. People got lost just trying to get there. It was in the middle of nowhere. Stuck it out there for a few years, and then all of a sudden the rush came. The rush of development, the rush of commerce, and it started to lose its character. It started to lose that creative spirit. And during that time, my husband, He was working in Little Haiti and documenting the neighborhood, which is just next door to Wynwood. And we kept spending more and more time in Little Haiti. And the pulse of the Caribbean was just so intense here. The smells, the music, the fact that people were walking around everywhere. It was just so vibrant. And a space became available, this old building. And we thought, okay, well, let's do it. The community has been extremely supportive. They come in regularly. I'm watching a neighborhood just progress and develop. But it's developing still with keeping the cultural identity, which is something that I respect and that I like. This piece invigorates me. It's just oozing positive energy. It gives me the will to carry on and to keep fighting for what I believe in. I feel like they support what I'm doing here. The eyes are watching me all the time. So a lot of people will walk into the gallery and they'll see and they'll think, are these women fighters? But you know, sometimes they take a closer look and they say, well, over here in the corner, she doesn't really look like a fighter. What's this about? You know, why are all these women with boxing gloves? And I say, well, they're fighting, but they're not fighting in the ring. They're fighting in corporate America. They're fighting in their everyday lives. They're fighting for their existence, but mostly they're fighting to be equal. There really isn't a roadmap as to how to do this well, but you have to know that whatever you set your mind to, you have to do it 100%. You've got to go even above 100% and put everything into it. As a Caribbean American woman, I think it's fantastic because we've managed to leave our mark on this city and hopefully it'll endure for generations. Things don't develop in a bubble. Things develop because people will it to do so.
You want more? I know you do. Art is thriving in South Florida. We have much more exclusive content right now on the NBC6 News and Weather app. I'm Roxanne Vargas. Thank you so much for joining us on this special edition of 6 in the Mix.